Welcome to Bethel Online Education Hub. Learn anytime, anywhere. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe for more. Let's learn together, the Bethel way.
Good day, everyone. Welcome to another exciting journey in understanding culture, society, and politics. Today, we will explore one of the most important forces that shape our daily lives: economic institution. Let's begin with a question. If someone gives you something, it is expected that you return the favor. Think about it. Whether it's a gift, a service, or even a small favor. Societies have unspoken rules about exchange and fairness. These rules are not just about kindness. They form part of something much bigger. The system that organizes the production, the distribution, and the use of resources in society. Every time we buy food, pay for transportation, we use internet, or even share our skills, we are participating in economic activities. But we have But have you ever wondered how these activities are organized? Who makes the rules? And how does societies decide what to produce, how to produce, and who gets to consume it? That's where economics institution came in. They are the system of organizations and rules that guide how resources produce, distribute, and used in society. From ancient barter system to modern global markets. Economic institutions play a key role in sustaining life, promoting development, and influencing power dynamics. In this lesson, we will uncover what economic institutions are and why they exist, the different types of economic system, and how these institutions impact culture, politics, and everyday life. By the end, you will see that economics institutions are not just about money. They are about relationship, trust, power, and survival. So let's dive in and discover how economics institutions keep our societies running. Imagine in a game with no rules, chaos, confusion, and no way to know what's fair. Society works the same way. Institutions are like the rules of the game for how we live, trade, and work. Institutions are basically durable systems of established and embed social rules that create a framework or structure for social interactions. These rules guide how people behave, interact, and make decisions in different aspects of life because they are durable. Institutions last over time, providing stability and predictability in society. When it comes to the economy, economic institutions are the formal and informal rules that organize the flow of resources, goods, services, and money within a society. Formal rules include laws, government policies, contracts, and regulations. For example, labor laws, banking system, or trade agreement. For informal rules, including tradition, cultural practices, and unwritten agreement. For example, the price of bargaining in a local market, or the expectation to return a favor when someone helps you. Together, these formal and informal rules shape the economic flow and activity of a society, determining what gets produced, how it's distributed, and who get access to resources, and how economic relationships are maintained. In short, economic institutions are the rules of the games that keeps economic activities organized, fair, and functional for the people living in that society. Now, let's talk about reciprocity. Have you ever given a gift and later received something in return? That's reciprocity is. An ancient yet still powerful form of exchange that keeps communities connected. Reciprocity is a form of gift exchange or mutual giving between two parties where sometimes is given with the expectation that it will be returned in the future. This return does not always have to be immediate or equal value. It depends on the types of relationship and the cultural norms involved. In many societies, reciprocity is an important social and economic principles because it helps build trust, strengthen relationship, and ensure mutual support. These are the three common types of reciprocity. First, generalized reciprocity. Giving without expecting an immediate or specific return. Next, balanced reciprocity. Giving something with the expectation of receiving something of roughly equal value with a set period of time. And last, negative reciprocity. Attempting to get more, more than what you give. Often through bargaining, hanging, or taking advantage of the other party. In short, reciprocity is not just about exchanging goods. It's about maintaining social bonds and obligations that keep communities connected. Okay, now let's talk about transfer payments. What if you receive money or benefits from the government without giving any goods or services in return? That's a transfer payment, a key part of social welfare system. Transfer payments are payments made by the government to individuals or group without receiving any goods or services in return. These payments are meant to support people's need, redistribute income, or promote social welfare. Unlike wages or business transactions, transfer payments are one way. The recipient receive money or benefits without a direct exchange. Common examples includes welfare program, financial aid for unemployed, low-income families, and people with disabilities. Next, public services. Free or subsidized education, healthcare, and housing provide to citizens. And state investment in citizens. Scholarship, pensions, and disaster relief assistance. Transfer payment aims to reduce poverty, provide social security, and promote equality by ensuring that resources reach those who need them most. Now let's talk about redistribution. Imagine the government as a bridge, taking resources from those who have more and channeling them to those who have less. That's redistribution in action. Redistribution is the act of the government collecting resources, usually through taxes, from wealthier business and citizens and transferring them to individuals or groups with less wealth. This process is a way for society to share resources so that everyone has access to basic needs and opportunities, even if they don't have equal income or wealth. In simple terms, anything the government provides, such as cash aid, free education, or public healthcare, comes from funds collected from the other people in society. The government acts as the middleman, taking contribution from those with more resources and directing them toward those in needs. Here are here are purpose of redistribution. First, reduce inequality. Narrow the gap between rich and the poor. Next, promote social welfare. It provides safety nets for unemployed, elderly, or disadvantaged. Next, ensure social stability. It prevents unrest by ensuring that basic needs are met. Example of redistribution in action. First, social welfare program. For example, the Poor Peace in the Philippines. Next, public education funded by taxes. And universal healthcare system and disaster relief operations. Redistribution is one of the three main modes of economic exchange in anthropology, and it's play a vital role in keeping societies balanced and functional. Now let's proceed with market transactions. When you buy coffee, book a ride, or sell something online, you're engaging in a market transactions, the most familiar economic exchange in our daily lives. A market transactions occurs when buyers and sellers interact to exchange goods or services for a agreed amount of money. This is the most common type of economics exchange in modern societies, and it can take place in physical market, online platform, or through business contracts. Example, buying groceries for a store, selling products in the online shop, or purchasing ticket for an event. Loans. A loan is a money advance by a lender to borrower with the agreement that is will be repaid in the future with interest. Loan helps individuals and businesses access funds for investment, expansions, or personal needs, even if they do not have the money upfront. Example, a small business loans to buy equipment. Next is the loan mortgage or mortgage. A mortgage is a specific type of loan designed to help people purchase property, usually a house or land. In a mortgage, the property itself serves as collateral, meaning that if the borrower fails to repay, the lender can take ownership of the property. Mortgage make home ownership more attainable by allowing buyers to pay in installment over many years instead of paying the full price at once. Next is the bank account. A bank account is a financial arrangement with a bank where a person or business can deposit, store, and withdraw money safely. Bank account make it easier to manage finances, receive salaries, pay bills, and save money for the future use. They can also earn interest depending on the type of account. Example, saving account, checking account, and time deposit. Now let's proceed with the market state. Just like the weather can be shiny, stormy, or calm, market have conditions that affect anyone, from workers to investors. This is what we call the market state. The market state refers to the overall condition, performance of the market at the given time, shaped by supply, demand, prices, and government policies. It reflects how the economy is doing and influence decisions by consumer, businesses, and investors. Here are the key factors affecting the market state. First is the supply and demand. Imbalance can cause price to rise or fall. Next, economic growth or decline. A strong economy encourages spending and investment. A weak one slows them down. Next, inflation rates. Rising prices reduce consumer purchasing power. Next, government policies. Taxes, subsidies, and regulations can speed up or slow down market activity. Next, the global event, wars, pandemic, or trade shift can impact local markets. The market state affects jobs, income, prices, and access to goods and services. Understanding it helps all sector from government to ordinary citizens make informed economic choices. On a macro or bigger scale, how can you see the power and influence of an economic institution? Now let's zoom out and look at the big picture. on a national or global level. Economic institution can shape entire societies and influence world events. On a micro level, economic institutions such as market, banks, corporation, trade organization, and government economic agencies play a decisive role in shaping how entire societies function. Their influence extends far beyond individual transaction, reaching national and even global level. Examples: in the year 2008 global financial crisis, the collapse of the major banking institution in the United States affect economies around the world, leading to widespread unemployment and slower growth. Central banks and governments had to coordinate large-scale rescue packages to stabilize the system, showing just how interconnected and powerful economic institutions are at the macro level. A strong economy needs more than goods institutions. It needs good governance and responsible citizen. A good government ensures justice, equity, and security. It promotes growth and opportunities, and it provides public services. But citizens must also contribute by following laws, paying taxes, voting wisely, and working together for the nation's good. Remember, ask not what your country can do for you. Ask what you can do for your country. Economic institutions are the backbone of society's economic life. They provide rules, both formal and informal, that guides production, distribution, and consumption. Through systems like reciprocity, transfer payment, redistribution, and market transactions, societies ensure that needs are met and relationships are maintained. The market state reflects that economy's health, while the macro level economic institution can influence entire nation and the global community. Strong government and active citizens are both essential for creating a stable, fair, and thriving society. As we seen, economic institutions are not just abstract system or distant organization. They are the invisible framework that shape how we live, work, and interact every single day. They determine how resources flow, how opportunities are shared, and how societies respond to challenges. Whether through reciprocity in small community, transfer payment from the government, or large-scale market transactions, these institutions keep our economies and our relationship in motion. On a bigger scale, their influence can be felt in national growth, global trade, and even in the stability of entire regions. But But the strength of this institution depends not only on rules and policies, but also on the people who take part in them. Good governance and responsible citizen go hand in hand. One set the structure and the other brings it to life. So, as we move forward, remember understanding economic institution is not just about learning how money moves. It's about seeing the connection between trust, fairness, responsibilities, and the shared work of building a society where everyone can thrive.